Hey guys, Pitmaster here. I got three and a half lessons from last night's UFC 196. Was it crazy? It was a crazy night. But I got a quick take on three lessons, three and a half actually lessons I learned from last night's fights. Um, okay, the first one I'll do is a half lesson because it's not really a lesson per se. And I don't want to name the fight because then I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But there was one fighter that, when they were announcing the fighters, the guys like to, you know, acknowledge the crowd, and then almost every fighter wants to take a sip of water before he goes out. Almost every fighter. I mean, ever since the 70s when I was fighting, you always want to get that one last sip of water, and a lot of times you want to spit the water on the ground and wipe your feet in it because it makes a little more traction, a better surface. So you'll see fighters like spitting up in the air, pouring the water onto the ground, putting the water in the mouth, spitting it on the ground. I mean, you've seen it. But the fighter like signaled for his corner to give him his water while they were announcing his name and stuff, and there was no water in the corner. So like somebody ran down to get the water, and then by then the bell rang. He had to go out and fight. So he fought without water. He's not going to die of dehydration. There's no big deal there. It's not. It's more of a mental thing than anything. So my only lesson from this is if you're in the corner when you go to the cage side while they're making the announcements, always bring a bottle of water. Okay, no big deal, but that's it. All right, second one. Um, this is for Eric Silva. Fight, so aggressive, such a good fighter, so much heart. Um, but he goes in so reckless and he leaves himself so open. If he could put all that power and really nice fancy techniques and speed together with more of like being like a tank, be like a tank. A tank goes along the battlefield and it is offensive because it has machine guns, it has cannons, but it's built in. Its offense is built in because it's a big, it's big metal object going down the battlefield, and it's already protected. So be like the tank. Be protected while you're trying to knock your opponent out. Be defensively offensive. So even though you're going to be offensive, have your defense built in. So like when you're winging that hook like you do, keep your right hand up. Okay? When you're throwing that right hand, like overhand right, keep that left hand up and keep your chin down and you're buried behind your shoulder. Just keep your defense built into your offense, because if you're too defensive, you're not going to be offensive enough. And then if you're too offensive, you're not going to be defensive enough. So be defense, keep it all built in like a tank, and then be offensive, okay? So be defensively offensive or be offensively defensive. That's confusing, I know, but my point is stick with the basics of the defense while you're throwing your offense, and vice versa. Keep your basics of your offense, be more offensive, but stay defensive. So the two work hand in hand. Be defensively offensive. Okay? Bing. That's the first real lesson. Lesson number two. Weight does matter. We saw that. We saw that with McGregor and Nate Diaz. Okay. First of all, I don't think Connor went up two full weight classes. He went up one. I mean, they met at 170, but Nate is a true 155er. McGregor is a true 145er, and they met because the fight was 11 days notice for Nate, so he didn't have the time to drop down to 155, so they met up there. I don't think either one of them had to cut, so they went in at a natural weight of in the 60s. Neither one of them even made 170. So he fought a true 155er, so he really in reality he went up one weight class. Okay? But it does matter. I mean, even that one weight class we saw mattered. Nate took his shots better, the strength in the clinch. I mean, he was stronger. I mean, the way he stuffed his takedown and reversed it, got the choke. I mean, weight matters. And that's why they have weight classes. They didn't used to, and people say, well, in the old days, there was no weight classes. Yeah, well, in the fucking old days, we used to churn our own butter, too. I mean, things have changed. They've progressed. It's called progression. And it does matter. And when people try to go up in weight, forcefully go up in weight outside of their natural weight, they become sluggish. They become slow. They're not nearly as effective. And when they drop too much weight, they get dehydrated and they get weak. So you should go at your natural weight. Gaining weight and try to get all muscular and go too high in weight. Fighters never do as well. They're always sluggish. And then when you try to cut too much weight, you're just weak. So you need to find your weight, what you can cut comfortably, especially now without the IVs, etc., and fight it that way. You don't always have to be the bigger guy and cut. And don't try to gain the weight, because if you do that artificially, by supplements, too much eating, overeating, etc., you're just gonna be sluggish. So find your weight and stick to it. Okay, that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3 is not only a lesson, it's a pitmaster's quote. Okay, always train your weaknesses. Always train your weaknesses. If you're a striker and you're weak at wrestling, work on that takedown defense all day long. If you're a wrestler and you're getting hit too much, work on your striking and your defense all day long. Okay? But if you're that wrestler and you're fighting a Muay Thai expert, okay, train your weaknesses, but always dominate with your strengths. Okay? Like last night, okay, I'll give an example. There was a couple, but the one I can think of most is Connor's a striker. I think he was a better striker than Nate. And when he got in trouble, he thought he'd change it up and try for a takedown. And we saw how that worked out for him. Didn't work out at all, because it was like, instead of staying on the boat and trying to shoot the shark with the gun or the spear gun or whatever, he actually dove in with the shark and tried to beat the shark at its own game. And we saw how that worked out. So train your weaknesses. Always work on your weaknesses. I think you should. If you all day long, work on your weaknesses, make them better. But always dominate with your strengths and rely on your strengths to get you through. All right? Thanks for coming. Thanks for being part of the Pit Ohana. And if you have any questions, comments, complaints, bitches, whatever, I didn't mean like bitches, you're a bitch, but like if you have any bitches about me, comment below. Thanks.